All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving into a world that covers, get this, over 70% of our planet. And what's wild is that more than 80% of it is totally unmapped, totally unexplored. Yeah, we're talking about the massive, mysterious, and absolutely vital saltwater biome. So let's just jump right in. And we're actually going to start not with what we know, but with what we don't. And believe me, when it comes to the ocean, that is a huge amount. Okay, check this out. Scientists have managed to catalog about 1 million species living in saltwater, but they estimate there could be over 9 million species we haven't even found yet. Just let that sink in for a second. That's millions of life forms completely unknown to science. And this is even after we've explored the deepest trenches on the ocean floor. It's incredible. All right, so to really get our heads around just how important this biome is, we first have to talk about two things: its incredible scale and, well, its defining feature: salt. So you'll hear it called the saltwater biome or the marine biome. But either way, it's not just another habitat. No way. It is the single largest living space on our entire planet. A massive, continuous body of water that literally connects every single continent. And the numbers here, they're just mind-boggling. I mean, think about all the water on Earth, right? In the air, in rivers, locked up in ice caps, underground, all of it. A full 97% of that water is saltwater. It's almost all of it. But what does salty even mean? Let's put it this way. If you took a crate, say 1 cubic foot, and filled it with seawater, you could pull out over 2 pounds of pure salt. That's an incredible amount of dissolved minerals packed in there. Okay, so here's something we all do. We use the words ocean and sea like they're the same thing, right? But there's actually a difference. You see, seas, like the Mediterranean, for example, they're smaller, and they're usually kind of tucked in and partially surrounded by land. Oceans, on the other hand, are those massive connected bodies of water that the seas often flow into. And even though it's all really just one giant connected system, we break it down into 5 major oceans, based on geography. So you've got the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian, and the Arctic. Oh, and here's a fun fact for you. The Southern Ocean, the one way down by Antarctica, is the newest official member of the club. It's so new you might not even find it on older maps. But here's the thing. The ocean isn't just one big, uniform tub of water. Nope. Just like a rainforest has its canopy and its understory, the ocean has layers, and each layer is like a completely different world. So let's start heading down. We're going to travel down through 3 main zones. And what defines them isn't just light, though that's a huge part of it. It's also the insane changes in pressure and temperature. So we'll start in the bright sunlight zone, then drop into the dim twilight zone, and finally, we plunge into the crushing, cold, pitch-black midnight zone. Okay, so this top layer, the sunlight zone, you can think of it as the engine room for the entire ocean. This is where sunlight can still reach, and that light fuels photosynthesis for all the tiny plankton. Now, that plankton, it's the base of the entire marine food web. And that's exactly why over 90% of all ocean life is crammed into this pretty thin, super vibrant top layer. Now, as we sink deeper, we hit the twilight zone. And here, the sunlight just fades to nothing. It's this world of shadows and immense pressure. The animals down here have had to evolve some truly incredible ways to survive, like creating their own light. It's called bioluminescence, and they use it to hunt, to hide, to do everything. But honestly, the most shocking thing is just how huge the midnight zone is. I mean, this pitch-black region with its crushing pressures and near-freezing temperatures, it makes up over 90% of the ocean's total living space. Let me say that again, 90%. It is just vast, dark, and almost completely unexplored. But before we move on from the layers, we gotta make a quick stop. Let's head back up to the sunlight zone, because we have to talk about one of the most important habitats there, the coral reefs. People call them the rainforests of the sea for a reason. These places are just bursting with an unbelievable diversity of life. So we've kind of covered the where, right? Now let's get to the who, because the sheer variety of animals in the saltwater biome, it's astounding. You can kind of break down this incredible diversity into a few big groups. First, you've got your classic fish, right? Things like sharks that pull oxygen right out of the water with their gills. Then, you've got the mammals, like whales and dolphins, who actually have to come up for air just like us. And finally, you've got the huge world of invertebrates, which includes soft-bodied mollusks and those hard-shelled crustaceans. Let's zoom in on those invertebrates for a sec. The big difference between mollusks and crustaceans is basically their body plan. So mollusks, think of a super smart octopus or a speedy squid. They're all about their soft bodies. Crustaceans, on the other hand, like crabs and lobsters, they've got their protection on the outside, that hard external skeleton or shell. All right, let's head back to the surface and see how this massive biome actually connects with the world we live in. We're talking about the coastline, which is the super dynamic and really critical zone where everything comes together. So the coast, it's that constantly changing area where the land and sea literally crash into each other. It doesn't matter if it's a sandy beach or a rocky cliff. This whole world is defined by the constant push and pull of the tides, and that creates a totally unique place for life to thrive. And you see so many animals that have adapted to use both worlds. I mean, sea turtles have to leave the water to lay their eggs on land. Seabirds live on land but do all their hunting out over the water. And then you have tons of creatures like crabs and urchins that just live in that little in-between zone, the part that gets covered and uncovered by the tides every single day. And that brings us to our last section. And honestly, it might be the most important one, our relationship with the saltwater biome. Because here's the thing, it doesn't matter if you live right on the coast or 1,000 miles inland, we are all deeply connected to it. I mean, think about it. We depend on the ocean for so much. It's a huge source of food for us. It's the highway for global shipping. It's a source of energy. It's a place for recreation that supports entire economies. Our modern world as we know it just would not exist without the ocean. But all of that reliance, it comes at a really serious cost. The pollution from our activities, we're talking everything from plastics and chemicals to runoff from farms, it's doing real damage to this vital ecosystem. It's harming the plants, it's harming the animals, and it's harming the quality of the very water that we all need to survive. So, as we finish up our journey from the bright, sunlit surface all the way down to the darkest depths, we're left with one really important question to think about. The ocean gives us life. It provides for us in countless ways. The real challenge for all of us is to figure out what we're willing to give back.